Hello, I'm Grandmaster Ben Finegold. Today something very interesting happened in the world of chess. Now, as you two both know, the World Chess Championship is going on right now. Did you know that?
No.
Do you know who the World Chess Champion is?
Fries?
Ooh, that's a good answer. Even better answer is Magnus Carlsen. Have you heard of Magnus Carlsen?
No.
Have you heard of anybody? Can you name any chess player that's not me?
Ben Fangle?
Yeah, I said that's not me. Can't even name me. Okay, Magnus Carlsen's
I
the
know one.
Yeah?
Neil Shivdasani.
Correct. Yeah. So
You can...
Magnus Carlsen's the world champion. He's playing Fabiano Caruana, and whoever wins the match is the world champion. That's going to take 3 weeks. They've been playing for 2 days. Today they don't play. They're taking a break. They're playing in London. What country is London in?
UK. England.
Yeah, they're both right. Okay, now, there's a guy that you've never heard of, and you've never heard of anybody, and his name is Ding Liren. He's the best player in China. Now, funnily enough, China in the last chess Olympics, they won, and in the women's Olympics, China also won. So China's pretty good at chess, right? And the best player in China is Ding Liren. Now, do you know what ratings are? Like 1,100, 1,000, you heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay, his rating is 2820. That's better than you, right?
Yep.
Okay, and Ding Liren, that's who we're talking about. He played over the last 18 months 100 rated chess games and he didn't lose any. And the average rating of his opponent was 2,700. So he played 100 games against 2,700 and he didn't lose any. That's pretty good, right? Except today he lost. Okay, he lost to the guy who's like number 5 in the world. So we're going to look at that game today. But first, instead of looking at the only game he lost ever, let's look at some games he won. We don't want to look at the whole game because you'll fall asleep. So we'll look at a little bit of the game, the interesting part, right? Okay, don't do that. Now the first game was against former American World Championship candidate Gada Kamsky. Okay, Gada Kamsky used to be rated about 2780. This game was played 7 years ago, so he was rated 2730. Now, you've heard of Georgia because you live in Georgia, right? I've lived in Georgia about 2.5 years, and I play in tournaments. You?
I have not lived in the country, Georgia.
You have or haven't?
Not lived in the country, but
I was in the country of Georgia 2 years ago. I flew from Georgia to Georgia. And then people in Georgia, the country, were like, where are you from? Like, I'm from Georgia. And I showed my driver's license. It said Georgia. They're like, what? I showed them, right? Okay, now, that's all true, too. Now, where was I? Kamsky, Georgia. Okay, I've lost to one slow-rated game in this state in the last 2.5 years. To that guy, Gada Kamsky. Exactly. Ding. That was Ding Liren saying, like, yes. Ding. Nothing? All right, not too smart. Okay, so this game was played in Moscow in 2011. It was a French defense. Now, Ding Liren was black, so we'll flip the board. This game was really, really, really complicated. Okay, now Karen's going to like it because it was a French defense. And in fact, in this position, there's 3 moves that grandmasters play. They take the pawn. That's what I play. They play bishop b4. That's what I used to play before you were born. And then there's the move Karen plays in this position with black, knight f6. Okay, that's what Ding Liren played. Okay, and this position is very, very common. And if you look at 100 grandmaster games, in about 90 or 95 of them, white will go bishop here, defending his pawn. But Kamsky didn't do that. Kamsky defended his pawn with his knight. That's a very unusual move. The reason is he wants to defend his pawn again. Maybe he thinks he's playing Connect 4, I don't know. And he did. See? Okay. Okay, and then Ding Liren said, that pawn's annoying. And his opponent said, no talking. So he attacked the pawn with f6. And Kamsky said, my pawn's defended like 1,000,000 times. I don't care about that. You.
Never play f6.
Correct.
But sometimes don't you have to when you're black? And
Never sacrifice your queen. Would you argue with that? You're like, yeah. All right.
All right.
Well,
You
Okay.
were saying it's an exception.
There's always, everything has
I know,
exceptions.
but I read-
Now, where did Kamsky move his bishop? The answer is Fries. He can't move his bishop, so he played G3. Kamsky was kicked out of the tournament because he thought it was a checkers tournament. Okay, now his bishop has some squares. Okay, queen b6, attacking this pawn. Karen takes that pawn a lot in the French defense. Yeah. He almost has a question. He's like, no? Yeah? No, okay. Queen d2, defending the pawn. I take you, you take me. If you take with this pawn, which is normal, then you lose your knight. So he didn't do that. Took the other pawn. Okay. Rook to d8, winding up the rook with the queen. Bishop h3, and then d4. This game was really complicated. This game's mainly for grandmasters, not for you guys. There's a lot of pins in this game. If only you knew what a pin was. Okay, he played bishop f2, d3. He could always take this pawn with check, but he never did. Knight c1, knight f8. Now he can't take the pawn. Now b3, queen a6, defending the pawn. b5. This is pin number 1. If he takes the pawn, then he loses his rook. So did he lose his rook? No. Okay, so he castled. Bishop went out. Good. Now he unpinned his pawn. Rook a2. See how his rook is protected? Right? Was it protected there? No. And now he could take the pawn on b5, so black played b4. c4, knight a5, and now here comes the sacrifice. Ding Liren says, I would like to get 3 queens, please. He said, please. So he sacrificed his knight. And he's like, oh boy, now I'm going to get 3 queens. I'm the best. And Kamsky said, I'll checkmate you, f5, rawr. Queen to d5, bishop takes d3, and now there's another pin. And this is pinned. If you move your knight on f3, you're going to get checkmated. If you move your bishop, I'll take your queen. But he was like, you can take my queen. My queen's defended. It's defended by the bishop, the knight, and the rook. So he didn't care about that. Now, in this position, white's up a piece, because white's up a piece. Black sacrificed a piece, right? But black has these nice pawns. Ooh, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? And black has this. I forgot what this is called. What's that called when they're lined up?
Pin.
No, that's when a piece can't move.
Battery?
Battery. Okay. So black played queen c6, threatening the queen. Did Kamsky give his queen away? No. Okay, queen here. Now the knight went to g6. The rook came over here. According to Karen's emote, what's that called, Karen?
Double up on the bubble up.
That's right. Okay. Now watch this pin. You see how this knight's attacking this pawn and this knight's defending this pawn? He took it anyway. Because it's a pin. If you take the knight, black has checkmate in one move. Do you see it?
Oh.
Does anybody see it? Then what's the answer?
Fries.
Karen?
Queen h1.
Queen h1, checkmate. Remember the queen and bishop were a battery? Yeah. So did Kamsky let Ding checkmate him? No. He played knight to e2. And then the rook came over here. Rawr! Attacking all these pieces. That's not very nice, is it?
No.
Okay. Now he could take the rook, and then I could take with the knight, forking the queen and the rook. So he played knight d4 attacking the queen. The queen moved away. He did take the rook. He did fork the queen and the rook. The queen moved away. He took the rook. He took back. And now the one piece that black didn't move yet, rook f8, finally got the game piece into the game. Now he's doing a lot of attacking, and he has a lot of potential queening. Now, white didn't want to get checkmated, so he played h4. That way his king can run away. And black wanted to make a queen, so black played c3. The queen moved, and now more pins, bishop c5. every white piece is attacked or pinned. Okay? There's a lot of pressure here on white's position from black's pieces. Not only is there pressure on the pieces, black might make a queen. That's a lot of problems for white. Okay, white played bishop f4, blocking the rook. And he's like, well, I'll move my rook over here. Rook d8. How many times am I attacking this knight?
3.
3. How many white pieces are defending the knight?
2.
2. So he defended it again. Bishop e5. Then he's like, ooh, I'll take your bishop. Rook e8. And he's like, no, you won't. Now, pin number 1,000,000. Rook e1 check. If you take the rook, it's the same checkmate I just showed you, right? So did he take the rook and get mated?
No.
No. He played rook f1. Now, this is what we call in chess pandemonium. Okay? You see how the rook is pinned? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he played the most amazing move you've ever seen. You'll probably just start crying when I show you. Queen takes f3, confusing the audience. Audience is like, why didn't he take that queen? Well, you can't take it this way because of the pin, and you can't take it this way because of the pin. See this pin? See what I'm saying over here? That's a lot of pins, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, and now black's threatening checkmate. So he did take the queen that way. Then he took the knight with check, and now white resigned because white's queen is hanging, right? And then these pawns are going to queen. So when he resigned, I was analyzing the game, and I was thinking, he's in check. Now he gave up. If he didn't give up, he would go here. I would take your queen. You would take my rook. This is what I did in my head. And then I was like, uh-oh, b3. And I was thinking, that's not good for white. Aren't these pawns really good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's turn on the engine and see what the engine says. It says white resigns. Black is up 8 points. That's like a queen.
Almost.
The reason it's like a queen is because I'm making a queen. Yeah. So he resigned here. He gave up. That was one of Liren's best games. And at that's the guy who played 100 games in a row without losing. That was 7 years ago when he was a kid. He's sacking all his pieces, pinning his opponent. Okay, and then what did Kamsky do? He cried like a grandmaster. Kamsky's like, Liren, he's pretty good. What do I do about that? Aha! I'll go to Atlanta and play Ben Finegold. That sounds like easier game, right? So then 4 years later, he did that, and then he crushed me. Okay, but I'm not the one on trial here today. Now, there's a guy you never heard of, but you never heard of anybody. So his name is Alexander Areshenko. You know he's good because you can't spell or pronounce his name. Okay, and this was played also in 2011. And I see it says World Chess Team Championship. I didn't realize this before. That means I was at this game. I was standing there watching it. And this was in China. And you know who won that event? China. They won in China. And I did something at this event that will shock the audience. I sang at that event. I was on stage singing in the opening ceremony. That's true, you can't make that up. Then, a year later, Levon Aronian, who was the second best player in the world, he was in St. Louis. And I said, are you looking forward to the opening ceremony in St. Louis? And he said, only if you don't sing. True story. Can't make that up. Okay, in this position, white's threatening, rook takes knight. So black moved his knight. Okay, then white decided checkmating his opponent was a good idea. Right? So he's got a knight on h7 and a queen on h7. Let's put something else attacking h7. So what did he do?
Moved his rook?
Moved his rook. Where, over here?
No.
Where? What square? h3. Okay, now let's pretend black makes a silly move. Now we go check, checkmate. Black didn't want to get checkmated, so what did Black do to defend h7? People at home are like, ooh, me.
He already. Oh wait.
Yeah, I got it attacked 3 times, and you got to defend it 2 times. You better defend it again.
Rook.
That's right.
Rook e7.
That's right. Okay, now, this game was played in 2011 when Liren was a kid, and therefore, tricks are for kids. So watch this trick. He took the pawn anyway. He's like, I don't care if you defended it. Now, if you don't take the knight, I'm going to go knight f6, discovered check. Then you're going to cry a lot. If you were Black here, crying is correct. Right? You see how you're in check and there's no way out? Yeah. Okay, so the only move that makes any sense is to take the knight. But he didn't do that, he gave up. Let's pretend he took the knight. Now, if you remember the last game with Kamsky, Liren did all these pins, right? Now he did it again. What's the winning move for White? There's more than one answer, but there's an answer that's really good. It wins all of Black's pieces because of a pin. How does White win all of Black's pieces due to a pin? Yeah?
Queen takes c7.
That's right. Bam! Is that a rook? Yeah? And now you're going to win the queen. You can't take the queen because it's pinned, right? You see what I'm saying? So who's winning, White or Black?
White.
White's really winning. If I turn the engine on, it'll start crying, right? It'll give crazy numbers. Forced checkmate, right? Okay, so instead of taking the knight and losing, he just gave up. Black's king is under too much attack. Now, they played 28 moves, because it says so, and that rook hasn't moved yet. Boo! That's why I'm not lecturing about him. Okay, although he was higher rated at the time. Okay, this game won the Game of the Year in 2012, and I'm showing you after move 13. Who has more developed pieces, White or Black?
White.
White. Black has one thing in his favor. Black's up a pawn. Black has 7 pawns. White has 6 pawns. But White's doing all the attacking, right? Now, Black didn't want to get checkmated, so he played a defensive move, but it didn't work. He played g6. And he said, oh boy, everything is defended. I'm the defendedist. Okay? And Liren said, that's what you think. And the thing is, we didn't understand what they were saying because they were speaking in Chinese. They're both Chinese. Right? And then the director came and said, like, stop talking. Yeah. Okay, so now White sacked all his pieces to checkmate his opponent. And then Grandmaster said, wow, that's great. That's the Game of the Year. You give all your pieces away for me. What are you, Paul Morphy? And then Liren said, could you repeat the whole speech again in Chinese? So watch what he does. Bam! Bishop takes g6. And his opponent's like, thank you for the bishop. And he says, no problem. I got more pieces I can sack on g6. Playing like Karen over here. Okay, check. Now, Black's up 2 pieces, right? Black has 1 piece defending, and these pieces are doing nothing. So he says, let's get rid of that piece. Now he's threatening bishop takes bishop, which wins the queen, right? So he takes. Now, Black is up 2 pieces. Black has 2 minor pieces, and White has 0. And it's Black's turn to move. Unfortunately, if White plays rook f7, Black's going to get checkmated, right? Because I got everything's checkmate. Every move is checkmate. So Black played rook e7 and said, no, you can't checkmate me. Queen check. Now, if you block with the rook, which he didn't do, what's the winning move for White?
Knight.
What's that?
Not knight. Rook Rook F8.
Rook F8. Bam.
Yay.
And then checkmate. Is that what black did? No. Black played king G8. And white played G6 and said, haha, your king is trapped. I'm going to play rook up, rook over, and then mate. Okay, and black played knight D7, getting his knight out. Rook F3, just like I said. Knight F8. And now, if you play rook F3, I'll play knight takes pawn, stopping the mate, getting rid of this pawn. Black's up 2 pieces, he can give one back. Okay. The other rook comes. Do you see this threat? Probably you should stop that. Okay. So he took the pawn and he pinned the knight instead of taking it because Liren likes pins. He wants to take with the rook. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? If he does that. So Shenlei defended the knight, takes, and he resigned here. If he takes and goes here, we have rook F7 again. And you're too young to see this. Is that good defense for black?
No.
No, terrible. Okay, so in this position, black resigned even though black's up 2 pieces. Now let's defend the rook. That looks better, right?
Yeah.
Now I have another rook. And I want to play rook takes rook and then rook G6. If you can stop that, you're better than me. Look, if I go here, rook takes rook and rook G6. So in this position, black resigned because his pieces aren't defending. He has extra pieces, but they're not doing anything. And black's king is not safe. These games were played years ago before Liren started his 100-game streak of not losing. Okay, now he did lose today. Let's look at that game. That was against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. He's the best player in what country?
France.
France. It even says France versus China, even though it wasn't a team tournament. This game was played today in China. Okay. Now, normally I would just show you a little bit of the game, the complicated tactical part. But I wanted to show you the opening because you all play the opening. When kids play chess, the most common moves are E4, E5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then knight F3, knight C6. You guys have had this position.
Yeah.
And then, usually you play bishop C4, I think. Usually.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that's what those guys did. Now here's what's funny. In kids chess, for the last 50 years, kids play bishop B5, bishop C4, and adults, grandmasters, play the Ruy Lopez bishop B5. But now that's changing. Now a lot of grandmasters are playing bishop C4. Okay, knight F6. Also bishop C5 is possible. And they develop their pieces. Rook E1, C3, and he played A5, playing on the queen side. He pinned the knight, and then he kept unpinning the knight. Okay, and then black played knight H7. Maybe he wants to play F5, even though it's illegal. Still wants to play it. So it wasn't too interesting yet. Now A4 is a very interesting move. This is actually pretty funny. So in the game, white got to take this pawn with his queen, which he couldn't do if he played bishop takes, because his queen's defending the bishop and the pawn. So after A4, he didn't take the pawn, he just went back. Here, D4. Now they're fighting in the center. Has anybody taken anything yet? No, so that's pretty exciting. Okay, now they start taking everything. Attacks the knight, defends the knight, attacks the knight, takes. Is that a good pawn structure? No. He's up a pawn. And the game got really exciting. You see how he's attacking the rook? Right? Okay. Now he did something you've never heard of. What haven't you heard of?
Everything.
Correct. Also, en passant. And white knew en passant because white's from France. Bam. You ever seen that before?
Yeah.
Okay, so B4 and he takes it. Okay. Takes, attacking the rook. I take your rook. Moves his rook away. C5. It's a very exciting game, right?
Yeah.
Now look at queen b1. You see queen b1? That's a battery. You agree? Now this is very funny. You can't move the knight anywhere safe, and you can't defend your knight. So he has to block. En passant again. 2 en passant captures in the same game. That's very rare. It was pretty rare. Then he saved his knight. Hooray!
Yay.
Okay. Now, black's king has no pawns anywhere near it. So black's king is pretty open. And they played check. Uh-oh. The king is getting open. So did he take this and walk into the family fork? Is that what black did?
No.
Did black play 100 games in a row without losing because he can't see one move ahead? No. Okay. So MVL wants to take that bishop and then play knight e6 check. So he played rook a4, and then he wants to take this knight. He's like, give me your knight. Stop being so mean with your knight. Look at that move. Is that an amazing move?
No.
Yeah, he wants to play knight check, winning the queen. But if he does, the rook takes it. Right?
Yeah.
Now, how did MVL find this tricky move, queen takes a6, with the idea of takes, knight check, winning the queen? The answer is, I did it last week. I wanted to play knight e6 check, winning the queen, and my opponent had a rook on a6 and I took it. I did the exact same trick last week in the Pro Chess League, except my opponent's king was on d8. So knight e6 check still wins the queen, and I played queen takes rook on a6. It was the exact same thing. If you know every game ever played, you can play those tricks. Do you think MVL knew my game from the Pro Chess League?
No.
No, that 3-minute game I played? Then maybe. Okay, but he doesn't need to know it. He's good at tactics. There's a name for that, what he did. Removing the defender. Okay, now we're going to see something else you haven't heard of called Desperado, one of Karen's favorite songs. It's a song by your favorite group you never heard of, Karen.
The Eagles?
The Eagles. And you're like, what? Right? They have a song called Desperado. In chess, a desperado is when you give up a piece for another piece because you're going to lose the piece anyway. Queen takes knight, confusing the audience. Now, can I play knight e6 check if I don't have a knight?
No.
No. So if he takes the queen, which he didn't, and I take the queen, in an amazing coincidence, materials equal. Everybody has the same thing. Everybody has a rook, minor piece, and 4 pawns. Okay, but MVL, he said, wait a minute, black's king is too open. I don't want to trade queens. So he played queen f1. Why did he play queen f1? Black's threatening to take the queen and take the rook. So he saved them both. And he said, I'm threatening your queen and your king is too exposed. Well, he saved his queen. Rook d1. Uh-oh, man, look at this. Look at this now. Ding is the one getting pinned. Say what? Now, let's play a bad move on purpose, okay? Now I take the knight, and if you take my rook, super pin.
Super pin.
Yeah.
It's a battery and a pin.
That's right. Did Ding Liren let MVL do that?
No.
No. He played king f7. Now if I do that, that's not a pin because the king's not there anymore. Okay. So bishop e5 threatening the knight moves away, rook there. What's this called if he goes there? What kind of tactic is that? I'll give you a hint, it starts with an S.
Skewer?
It's a skewer. See, now Karen doesn't understand something, but I'm going to explain it to her. Karen's like, I shouldn't answer these questions. I'm too high rated. But you're not. It's an under 1400 class. Mm-hmm. You're the right rating. You just know the answers. Mm-hmm. That's why she's taller than you. Now, for some reason, let's ask a random student. You in the back. What? What's your name?
Sheena?
Still?
Yes.
Okay. Sheena, who's older, me or Karen?
You?
That's what everybody said. And Karen's actually 4 years older than me. Confusing the audience, right? Are you confused?
Yes.
Yeah. She doesn't believe it. She's breaking things. She's furious, right?
No.
She's like, all right. Okay, so Karen played chess for a long time, maybe like 45 years, right? No. Who's played chess for 45 years? Me.
You.
Yeah. Okay. And Karen's like, oh man, look at that skewer. Did Ding Liren let him get No. Now, this is the difference between a grandmaster and you children. When I say, what's the right move, you find the right move, just like the grandmaster. When I say, what's your opponent trying to do, you're like, what? What's an opponent? Okay? And MVL and Ding Liren are like, my opponent wants to do that, I'm going to stop them. My opponent wants to, I'm going to stop them. And you guys are like, my opponent did all this stuff and I didn't see it. Okay? If you want to be a good chess player, you have to see your opponent's threats. That's why Ding Liren is so good, he sees his opponent's threats. He played queen takes pawn, queen f1 check, rook h7 check, bishop c7. Now he's threatening checkmate. That's checkmate. Did Ding Liren not see that and get checkmated? No, he sees his opponent's threats. Now in this position, if he plays this move, I take the bishop. That's why he moved his bishop, right? Okay, so he played rook take, stopping the checkmate. Knight d6, and they kept playing and playing and playing and playing. Then there was a really good trick at the end. Really good trick. Queen check here. Now, if you take the knight for free, how does black win the game? There's two answers. How does black win?
Prize.
That's only one answer. Karen?
I'm looking.
She's like,
I think
Queen
Queen.
H2.
yeah, queen h2, and what's that called? We just talked about it.
skewer.
Skewer, or queen h1. Okay. So is that what MVL did? He blundered away his queen? No.
No.
He played queen g8 check here, and now he played the move Ding Liren probably missed. Now let's go back. If he plays king to c7, then I go check, and then I take this with check. I could do the funny mate if I want to. There's quicker ways to mate, but that was the funniest. So we'll do that. So king c7's no good. Knight e8's no good, right? Terrible. Okay, so he played king d7. Now he ended the game in one move. He won all of black's pieces in one move. See, black has 3 pieces. After the next move, he won't have any. You'll be 2,800 if you can do that. Right? So what did he take?
Everything?
Yeah. What move did he make? You should check out the right answer. Check it out.
Rook d6.
He played rook d6, and that ended Ding Liren's 100 game streak of not losing, because now he gave up. If he takes, how do we get rid of all of black's pieces? Get rid of all of them.
Queen g3.
Queen g3 check. Where does pieces go? And now, if I turn the engine on, it won't say +1 or +10. It'll announce mate. I'm going to say 16. Gotta say something. And that's why I get paid the big bucks. 15. Now I get demoted. That means if both sides play perfectly, it's a 15 moves until mate. I guess 16. That was close, right? So instead of getting checkmated by a queen, which Karen was teaching earlier, black gave up. That game was super exciting. Both kings were getting checked a lot. Both sides sacrificed material, and eventually black had no pieces left. What's funny is, normally when somebody plays a lot of games in a row without losing, and they have a lot of draws, they're a boring player. Draw, 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 then they don't lose, right? Ding Liren's a really exciting player, and he still doesn't lose. His games are all crazy, but he did lose this game. He hasn't lost a game in 2018. Now he has. And he didn't lose a game the last 7 months of 2017. He's like, losing, what's that? I'm confused, right? Then his opponent high-fived himself. I beat the guy, yay, right? Yeah. So beating somebody who never loses, that's pretty good. Exactly. What? Yeah, never loses. So that was Ding Liren. He's the best player in China. He's number 4 in the world. In my opinion, which you don't have to agree with, in the next World Championship, probably Ding Liren will play in 2 years. And he might be the highest rated player in the world. Yeah. China's pretty good at chess, and he's the best player in China. So he gets a lot of good competition. And there was a lot of tricks in those games. Pins, forks, and skewers. If you can see pins, forks, and skewers, and your opponents don't see them, then you'll probably win. He's good at that. He's good at tricking his opponent. A person also known for tactics and pin is the guy he was playing. Now his name is so long, nobody can pronounce it. So we call him MVL. Those are his initials, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody says MVL. Nobody says his whole name, right? Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Yeah. And I was a big fan of his about 8 years ago. I was like, he's the greatest. And everybody was like, who's that? Now they all know he's the greatest. Yeah. He's been top 10 in the world for the last 5 years. You.
My mom might be able to pronounce it.
Exactly. She would be like, aha, MVL.
No, she was in.
Yeah, I
2
know.
months.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, that guy's pretty good. As you can see, he beat a 2800 player, right? Now, what's funny about right now, which you kids don't know, at this particular time, there's a lot of Grandmaster tournaments going on. There's one in India that just finished. There's one in China that finishes tomorrow. There's the World Chess Championship. The winner's the world champion. Then in St. Louis, where they have this big chess club, they have 2 Grandmaster tournaments going on. Nobody's paying attention to that because of these other tournaments. And the Women's World Championship is going on now too. That's a knockout. So there's 64 women, then there's 32, then there's 16, and so forth, right? Right now there's, I think, 8 women left. And there were 2 or 3 Americans, and now there's 0. What's that?
Then 4, then 2,
Then 4, then 2, and then 1. Now, who's the Women's World Champion? I know you don't know, so we put a picture of her up there so you would know.
Okay.
That's Zhu Wenjun. What country is she from?
China.
China. The best woman in the world, she doesn't play in the Women's World Championship. She thinks she's too good, because she is too good. You know what her name is? Karen. Who's the highest rated woman in the world? From China.
Yifan.
That's right, Hao Yifan. Okay, she doesn't play in these tournaments. She's too good. But she plays, and she won. Hooray, right? We have a picture of Yifan in the other room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So China has Ding Liren, Yifan, Zhu Wenjun. They win the Olympiads, 2,800 players. That's pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. And not only did MVL break his streak, he broke it in China. He beat him in his own country. So what did Ding Liren do after the game? Cry like a grandmaster. No. Now, sometimes you lose when you play chess. That's okay. Try to win more than you lose. Somebody on the internet said in the 100 games where he didn't lose, he scored 64.5 points, and his average opponent was 2,700. That's pretty good, right? Yeah. All right, so go Ding Liren and go. The tactics you learned this are what's important. Pins, skewers, and forks. And in the first game with Kamsky, Ding Liren did a lot of pins. In this game, they both did a lot of stuff. Pins, skewers, and forks. I would call this a fork, right? See how he's forking the king and the queen? So you got to trade, and then your pieces are all gone. This reminds me of the famous game Fischer-Finegold, which also ended with like king and 2 pawns versus king, and then my dad resigned, right? Yeah. Other side of the board, but close. All right, so that was the Ding Liren lecture, because normally I do great players of the past, but he's a great player now, right? He's playing right now. So I want to lecture about him. He's one of the best players in the world, and he just ended his big streak, right? All right, so thanks for coming to class, and maybe you'll come to the next class. Now you can go play chess for fun, right? And what are my 2 favorite words?
Class dismissed.
That's right. Also, fries. Yeah. Good job. You guys paid attention.